Hi everyone, welcome to Principles of Policing CRJ204. So you should have received an announcement with my contact information welcoming everybody to the course. If you have any questions as we progress through this week or any further week, please feel free to reach out to me. So during this week, we're going to be discussing the historical development of law enforcement and how it began in England and then came over to the United States. In the earlier models, we'll discuss the Bow Street Runners and the London Metropolitan Police and how the sheriff was actually built into the 13 original colonies' charters and then into their state constitutions. Then we'll discuss what decentralization is and how decentralized models in the United States developed as a result of the 13 original colonies and then the individual towns and municipalities that make up each of the states, and why law enforcement developed in that way that kind of doesn't model after any other country throughout the world or any other democracy. It's really interesting because if you start to think about the creation of the colonies, those charters, and then after the American Revolution, the individual states and the autonomy of those states, you start to see that there's that local, state, and federal government in place. And law enforcement fell under the executive branches of those municipalities and then the state and the federal government. So they were autonomous unto themselves. They just needed to answer to the executive branch of those individual governments. And that is really where we are right now within law enforcement, and how law enforcement really, it has its own separate policies and procedures and the bylaws or laws that govern that municipality. So a law enforcement officer that may have attended a state academy here in Massachusetts, it's the MPTC, the Municipal Police Training Council. That academy, while it might be for all police officers within the state of Massachusetts, it's just a beginning or the first stage of an officer's training, because then they end up going back and learning the individual bylaws of those municipalities. So the bylaws would be different from town to town, city to city. They still need to follow through on the state general laws, but their specific laws or bylaws, they would not learn all of those across the state in their one academy. So when we start to think about economics, we start to think about taxes of a municipality, that all brings everything back into play of what a town can afford for technologies, cruisers, and specialized training of law enforcement. So if the municipality is autonomous and it has its own bylaws and it collects its own taxes, then it's limited to what it can collect and what it can spend on the law enforcement of that municipality. So when we think about the first assignment for this week, I'm asking you to think about the expansion of, or probably doing away with a decentralized model and coming back into play of a centralized model, such as, say, England or Ireland or Brazil. So if you have any questions about this week or as we move through the semester, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available.